Welcome to this, would be, I guess, February video update. We've got a fair amount to talk about, some updates, some things I've done to the railroad, added to it, some that are under the layout kind of thing. I have great news, and I'm going to share it with you after the intro. So before we get going, if you've watched our videos before, would you consider subscribing? And on that note, let's get this show on the tracks. So after the intro, yes, there was a short clip there of our good friend Eric from the Warbonds Channel. He came down and visited us again. We did a little bit, found some parts for his 1-inch scale GP60M. And unfortunately, the weather this time of year when he was down was just, it was cold. And like most of the country is and dealing with right now. But so we didn't get a lot of work done on it, but we did get his sound figured out on it. He was having issues with basically fire it up and it'd go like straight to 8 as far as the engine sound. And so we actually pulled the decoder out, put it in one of mine, and we did some testing and running, and we got it to where it worked. We put it back in his locomotive, and it works like it should now. So if you're interested, look him up, Warbonds Channel, Warbonds, right here on YouTube, and check his stuff out. It's pretty cool to see what he's building, and even on the lowest level that I am, it's cool to be a part of it. Before we get on to the updates on the Kansas City Southern Iowa Eastern Division, I have been released to go back to work. Yay! Went to my doctor's appointment a couple weeks ago. Doctor said, well, it was kind of one of those things that he wanted me off another couple weeks, and I'm like, time out. I've already been off a long time. Can we, work a deal here? So I was able to get off, or able to go back to work, I should say, here on the 2nd. So I'm excited about that. So I've been actually, with that, I've been kind of preparing the layout for it being stagnant for a few weeks, just because I know once I get back to work, I'm going to be tired. And I'm not saying that I'm going to completely forget about the layout or anything like that for a few weeks, but I just don't know when I get home from work, especially after being off like 3 months. When I get home from work, I'm going to be super tired. Mentally, I might be there like, okay, yeah, I want to do this, but physically, even though it's, doing something small, it wears you out working on the big trucks. So, yeah, I'm excited for it, but I'm also doing prep work to not come down to the railroad if I don't feel like it. For starters, I've already showed you this. Yes, I got the track in, but as you can see, I've actually got cars in there. I have, for my Miller Fuels, that's the latest addition to the railroad. Yes, there's some box cars in here. That is my fault, because in JMRI, I must have had a box car selected. Yes, it's tank, it's fuel, distributor, that kind of thing. But if any of you have used JMRI, it's kind of one of those things where you kind of, if it sends a car to a track, it thinks it's there. So you kind of got to move it. There are other ways around it. I can, in a sense, pull them from there and relocate them in the system. But why? We enjoy running trains, right? So, okay, well, two cars got put there for by mistake, whatever. That's the way I'm looking at it. So, like I said, I've been doing a lot of operations. while solo, but as you've seen, Eric was here. He ran some switch lists and stuff like that. Actually, he ran, well, I'm trying to think, he ran 1, 2, 3 or 4 jobs on the railroad. And he even pulled his own cars and stuff out of the 2 yards, and he had a great time. But I've also been doing kind of the same thing just to get some car movement. And this isn't meant to be about JMRI, but JMRI is one of those that once you get it set up and you get it tweaked how you want it to run, you have to run cars through the system in order for it to really start auto-populating, in a sense of, okay, these cars are here, they need to go here. And rather than, it's a little in depth to explain, but that's what I found by operating that. The more you operate with JMRI, the more you start getting realistic car movements and random car movements. So it's not the same cars going the same places all the time. It needs that in the system to be able to work properly. What I've done since the last video, you can see back here, I know we talked about up here, and I don't remember if I had the background windows and stuff in here or not, but I've got my buildings. Yes, I still have to do weathering and stuff like that, but I've got either blacked out windows or I've got little windows that pieces or pictures that I got off the internet to give it like a warehouse kind of effect. Just so you didn't look and see blue behind it. That's the same with this building. Granted, these are not rail served. They are just background structures. The coolest thing that I did was, and I'm not saying I'm the first person to do this by no means, but back here, I actually scratch built this fence out of, I want to say it was 32 thousandths or 032 brass wire. Took my measurements, soldered them, the brass together. I actually made a little template with an old license plate, believe it or not, and it worked really well. Painted them, used the, what do they call it, tulle or whatever, like for wedding dresses and stuff like that. We have a whole bunch of that from the girlfriend's daughter's wedding 6 years ago, 7 years ago. So I put that on there, painted it, and it's not perfect, but on the flip side of it, I created it, so it's really cool. And for it being background, that's the biggest thing. I want the detail, but I also don't want too much detail to where people are looking at that and not the trains. And of course, I know I showed you in the last video, but I've got, and I'll show you here real quick. So this is the building I showed you in the last video where I did the extra layers and cut the doors in, just for some added effect. I did add a building down here just to kind of fill in. I don't know that I'm going to do the added extra that I did on this building for that one. There again, it's a background building. But with the buildings in, see if I can get a good shot for you. This back here is a picture that I actually took, and then I tried my best to match the road. But as you can see, I've got the lines painted, and with where these buildings are, and according to this picture, there actually is a building that stands here, and there's a road here, not a railroad, but for my sake. So I wanted something to stand out a little more. So these are I've talked about them before, the modelbuilding.org buildings that you can buy. They have different kits. And like I did down there, I didn't do the faces of them, but I did like the garage doors and the doors. I did cut them out and give them a little bit of depth. I like the effect. I think it adds well to it. Obviously, I do more scenery, but if you're looking at adding lots of, or not lots of, but background buildings for either on a budget, or maybe you just don't know what you want back there yet, but you want something for now, that's a good way to go. Now here you can see in the background there, I finally got a sign up for my Dunder Mifflin paper warehouse. I ended up moving it down to the end here like we talked about. It works better for logistics of having cars and stuff, but also I think it looks a lot better. But it also presents for my Steel and Pipe Corporation, once I get the roof on here, it gives the way it's set up, it allows a person, if they're switching, they can get they can actually get to the left here. They're over here to be able to separate cars, uncouple them, but then they can still, if they need to, reach back behind there and access cars back here. Yeah, you got to kind of go over the top, but you can also go around the side here as well. So I moved that down. I actually, I don't remember in the last video if that building was like that is yet, but I haven't done much with it. I've played around exactly where I want it to go, left, right, and I think about where it's sitting is where it's going to end up. And as you can see, we've got some different cars. Finally got this switched out. Thanks to Eric here coming and visiting. We did, like I said, ran some switching ops, and he did very well for the switching. But by doing that, though, I did figure out over here on this track, this is my south interchange track. So, and I think I've explained this before, but I'm not sure if I have or how long ago, but this will be if I'm interchanging with, physically interchanging with another railroad. No, I should say model railroad. So we'll push the cars in, and any cars on here will be destined. Like I got a good friend, Will, who he's got a big layout that he's building. Once we get to that point, these cars here will come off, they'll go in a box, and then I'll go in and do JMRI, what I need to do. And then once I have enough cars built up and we operate at his, they'll go on to his layout, run around his layout, that kind of thing. So you may have seen when we were over here, maybe not, it may not have shown the video, but this I did put in, and I explained this where this locomotive is sitting. This is actually a locomotive track. It's kind of the switching office for Ogunnipe Grain. I did that so it's another job to where, if depending on how many operators we have, if I have enough operators, I can actually put somebody up here and they can start switching the cars, getting them ready for the local to come in, grab them, basically swap cars, and then once the cars are swapped, that person can swap out where they go. I wanted, like I said in one of the past videos, I wanted to have that option, and it just didn't look right. I was trying to figure out what I wanted here, and I realized that I found this file online, and basically the office, I 3D printed it, built it, painted it. I still have more detail work to do. I'm actually thinking about scratch building a wooden, basically a wooden set of steps here and over there. I don't know yet. When I find time. But I'm kind of excited about having that up, but I got to continue my scenery on and figure out height and stuff like that. But I'm excited to have that there, as you know, it's every little bit that you can put on your railroad. I guess this is for, if you've been in model railroading for a long time, obviously I'm preaching to the choir, but if you're new to model railroading, you happen to be watching this, little buildings, little things like that, a lot of people think, oh, well, and it doesn't fit right now or whatever. Set it up there. It's going to help you figure out if you're laying track where you want it to go, but also it helps, in my opinion, it helps motivate you to have those little things, because it gives you more, it shows progress, even though this may end up being down here, or I may find another building that I'd rather have there and move this somewhere else. Giving those little things help add to not only operating and watching the trains run around or whatever you do for operations, but it just adds to the railroad and makes it more interesting. You can see the track here. Let me get a little closer here. So I have ballast on there, which I want to, hopefully this last week that I'm off, or before I go back to work, I want to get more of this section ballasted. But I ended up printing a track ballaster, and it works really, really well. I love this thing so far. It works great, but I wanted to try it out, but I also wanted to get some scenery down, because I wanted to check my ballast. I've said it in a video couple years ago, using crushed walnut shells for ballast, and then I color them myself. And while it works almost perfect, Um, it's not 100% perfect. You can see there's still some gray in there, but the top layer is kind of brown. Um, Granted, this is a siding, or I'm sorry, a spur track, so I don't really care how much, I'm going to weather it. But like the main line, I want it a little grayer. So once I lay it down, yes, it's going to look like this. But I'll go back and use either chalks or the basically the color pigment that I use to color this ballast, and dry brush it in a sense over top of the main line and get my mainline color I want. But for the meantime, I'm happy with it the way it looks. I'm not looking for well-maintained track ballast, that kind of thing. So I'm kind of excited to have that down. And I'll say it's amazing with painting the track, right? I noticed that the sound, like you can hear the wheels and stuff like that really start. It's like they got louder after painting it. But then once I put the ballast down, of course, that changed it. If you happen to follow us at all on Facebook or anything like that, you may have noticed some of my pictures of these two locomotives. They are newer to the railroad. I got them after I got this gray ghost here that the girlfriend got me for Christmas. Yes, they're Iowa, Chicago, and Eastern. It's one of those things that was an afterthought of the whole railroad. There's part of me that wishes I would have thought about or remembered the Iowa, Chicago, and Eastern when I started building this railroad. I I really like the paint scheme. Some say some of it might be too bland, others, whatever. But I really always liked that and the DME, Dakota, Minnesota, and Eastern, which they were. I don't know how I don't know the logistics, but they were together. I really like the paint schemes, and I happened to see one of these on it was either Facebook Marketplace or eBay, and I'm like, oh, I remember that. That'd be cool. They're SD40-2s, which are my favorites, and that's really ultimately what I want to run the most on my railroad are the SD40-2s for the road power. I think it fits the era a little bit better, early 2000s. But anyways, I bought one and I realized, you know what? I've only got one other SD40-2, just straight -2, not a snoot nose or anything like that. I'm like, you know what? I found another one, good price. I bought it. Um, and I'm actually thinking about getting a couple more just because I really like the color scheme of it. But so yeah, the one has sound, the other one does not. Um, Eventually it will have sound. I actually, while I like soundtracks, I don't really have a good source. Not that I'm trying to be cheap or anything like that, but I have a source for ESU decoders, and which is Jono's Junction. So if you're ever interested, look him up. He has great deals on ESU decoders, whether they're sound or lock sound or lock pilots. But he also does some awesome 3D printed stuff. I've showed you before the cell tower and the or not bulletin board, but the advertising board, that kind of thing. So check him out, Jono's Junction. But I really wanted to, I don't know, they really stand out, I guess it's is the best way to put it. And there again, it's one of my favorite locomotives, the SD40-2. So I'm excited to have those on, and I'm excited to get sound put in this one here. I haven't yet. It does have an ESU lock pilot in there. I do have, I need to get a lock sound decoder for it, and I've already got the speaker and everything for it. So speaking of lock sound, let me adjust my camera there. I actually ended up purchasing the lock, what they call it, lock programmer, ESU's lock programmer, because not anything against anybody that where you can purchase them from. Like I said, I get my ESU decoders from Jono's Junction. Jonathan over there, he's a great guy, fast. So if you do purchase from him, just so you're aware, he is, if you buy an ESU, as long as he has a sound file, or you tell him what sound file he needs, he will get it programmed and he'll get it shipped out right away. Now, mind you, with all the weather going on, that kind of thing, you know, you got to be considerate of that. But he's very fast. He's very knowledgeable. You can ask him, you know, tell him what kind of, you know, locomotive you're putting in, an Athearn or you know, an Intermountain or old Proto, whatever. He'll help you find the right decoder and give you some guidance. But on the flip side of that, I'm one of those, I like to do it myself kind of thing. I like to be able to, if I need, like, let's say I have a locomotive that I have an issue with, and I'm pulling it out of service and it's going to sit on my shelf until I get around to repairing it or whatever. Well, I don't want, you know, one of my sound decoders sitting in a box for, you know, it could be just a couple weeks all the way up to, it could be next year before I get to it. But it may be a different style of locomotive, different prime mover, that kind of thing. And I just, my biggest thing was with the programmer is I wanted to be able to, I guess, reach out to Jono's Junction and be like, hey, I need, you know, 3 of these decoders. This is what they're going in. Don't worry about programming them. Send it to me. I'll do it. And actually I bought my programmer and actually decoder tester from him, and he's down for it. I like the ability to be able to change the sounds how I want. Obviously, your limit, it depends on what decoder you have, that kind of thing. But that's the one thing that I'm kind of leaning more towards ESU versus Soundtracks. Is Soundtracks, yes, you can order. They have great sound. There's nothing, I have nothing bad to say. The little thing that I guess the reason why I'm going ESU more is because Soundtracks, okay, you buy your decoder for that specific locomotive, and like I said, I've had I have one of my ES44 AC, my Intermountains. I've got to do some repair work on it, and I've got to fabricate a few parts for the driveline and stuff. I didn't want it sitting there with my decoder in there, so I pulled the decoder out, and actually the one IC&E, I pulled it out. It's 21 pin. I put it on my changed the prime mover from a 710 to I think it's a 645 or whatever it is. Correct me if I'm wrong. But anyways, I was able to put it in there, and I'm able to use that decoder in something else. And then down the road, I will get the decoder I need for that when I get that locomotive repaired. Soundtracks, you have to order based off of, generally speaking, based off of what you're putting in. Otherwise, you get generic sounds, which a lot of times is fine. I'm not one that I'm looking for the most prototypical sound. Like, I'm not going to freak out if, you know, okay, this one's supposed to have turbo, but it doesn't, or vice versa, or whatever. I just like the basics of sound. I just want, and at a low level, that is, but I want to be able to have the bell, the horn, and basically you hear, if I have 4 locomotives going by, I want somebody to be able to hear, and I want to hear the 4 locomotives rolling by. That's what I like about ESU, is you can go on ESU's website, and you can search, they've got, I can't even tell you how many files, sound files, and different variations based off who, what railroad ordered them. You know, there's BN and BNSF and all the major railroads. They have some of these locomotives have different sound files, which is more the like bell and horn and stuff like that. But I like to be able to have that flexibility, so that's why I got the lock programmer. All right, so we have, as you can see, I got a stack. These are actually all Lock Pilot decoders, and I've got to go through them. As you can see, between where I've got them from, they're marked. I've got to put, in a sense, new stickers on the boxes, and I'm going to go through and mark them so I have them. But this little contraption right here, I purchased this with my lock programmer. This is ESU's decoder tester. I wasn't sure about it. When I bought my programmer from Jono's Junction, I talked with Jonathan, and he suggested that to go this route for a little bit extra money to get that. it saves from having to open up a locomotive, drop the decoder in. Even if you're testing, if you think one's bad, put it in a locomotive, run it around, on the programming track, that kind of thing. You can actually test everything here, sound even, because it's actually got a little speaker built into it. It's got a little motor, so you can test motor. It's got rows of LEDs, so you can check lights and stuff. It does 21 pin, 8 pin. It's even got screw terminals for a standard wired decoder. If it's not on ESU, it will potentially could check basic functions, basically. You're not going to be able to test the sound and stuff like that. At least I haven't with my decoder. The few that I've actually non-ESU decoders I've checked, it's just done the bare minimum basic, right? So I more or less got this with me kind of, I don't want to say I'm going to switch out my soundtracks decoders, by no means. But from this point forward, I'm going to go ESU. So it's kind of a good thing to have this. And I like it because like I said, I can program everything here. And I'll explain how I have it set up. And then when I'm ready to install, I can install it. And then from there, I generally I'll program the address, the basics. Once it's installed and up and running, when I do my locomotive speed matching, then I can use JMRI to match it to my other locomotives. So that's the flexibility that I like about ESU. There again, not cutting down soundtracks. I like soundtracks. They're great. I'm not saying don't buy soundtracks. In fact, I'm saying buy soundtracks if you don't care to use ESU. These two, in my opinion, are the elite of the elite when it comes to at least sound decoders. Okay, but there again, even the soundtracks I can program through JMRI, but I'm limited to some, depending on the decoder. You've only got these prime movers where you have to buy this decoder for these prime movers, which really isn't that big of a deal. I just like the flexibility. So let's move on to how I have my programmer wired up. So here we are at the workbench. I'm not turning the light on. I'm not going to go into any of that right now. So you can see I've got two toggle switches here. Originally, and I've got to finish up my fascia a little bit from it because I recently just got it done. I wanted to get it done before I went back to work. You can see here, I have two switches. This is the new one, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Originally, I had just this switch where I have marked run and program. Off my Digitrax system, I basically it's a double pole, double throw switch that I have wired up and I'm grabbing the switch right now to kind of show you. I have wired up to where the middle of it goes to my programming track. One side of it, which are the top two or bottom two, whatever, one goes to my actual program line from the Digitrax system, and the other one goes to my track power. So that's in a sense what that's set up to, where I can flip it run, I can flip it to program. And this one I actually put an on-off on, so if I'm doing some tricky programming, I can actually turn it off, so I don't have to worry about any track power or programming signals going through. That's the way it was originally. Program, run, and then it's hooked up through the system for JMRI. Then I'm like, well, how do I do this? Because if I get a locomotive with an ESU decoder installed, or once I get the ESU decoder installed, I want to be able to put it on here and check general functions and stuff before I don't want to say waste my time, but go through the whole process of speed matching my locomotive. So I have, you can probably see it, JMRI, and I got ESU. So it's basically a double pull, double throw, but it's just on switch. So depending on what I'm doing, like if it's a non-ESU, it'll be on JMRI. If it's ESU, I flip it up. And there again, it's the same concept of, I've got the two center leads right here. They come out and they actually go into the program line here. And then I've got on one side, I've got what used to run to here for the programming track, it actually runs into the top or bottom, whatever, and the other one runs from my lock programmer. So then when I'm in program mode, I can either select ESU or I can just select JMRI. Now, mind you, I know that may seem all confusing, and this isn't meant to be a tutorial of how to do it. I just wanted to have the ability to have a locomotive sitting on here, and yes, I still have to flip a switch. But if I'm doing ESU and it's on, as long as this is on program and that's on ESU as an example, I can have a ESU equipped locomotive sitting here, and I can sit at my computer with the lock programmer program and do what I need to do. It gives me the option, especially having the decoder tester for the lock programmer. Like after I get it installed, if I have issues, okay, well, there's something I got to check a program. I don't have to pull the decoder out. I can put it up here and actually do the read right here. Whereas the lock programmer and like a Digitrack system with the JMRI, I can do that here. They both have program on the main line, but there is no feedback with that. So if I'm running something, doesn't matter either or what the decoder is, and it's not quite running right, I'm making adjustments and the adjustments don't seem like they're taking or aren't right, I can actually put it on here and read either or with the respective program and be able to get the feedback of, oh, well, this is why, okay, I got to change the CV above it or whatever. So yeah, that's what I've added to this. I don't expect this, like I said, I didn't expect this to be a tutorial or nothing. And I don't, some people right now might be like, whoa, that's confusing. If you're interested in doing something like this, whether it be just having the run program track and how I have my switch wired, or if you end up getting, like, say, if you have the ESU, you're going to get the the lock programmer, and you are going to run off your system of JMRI or whether it be Digitrax or not Wayne Grow, NCE, reach out to me. I have no problems, I guess, doing a drawing diagram of how this is set up. It's really, I promise you, it's not as complicated as it sounds. All right, I have yapped your ear off. Hopefully, if you are still around by the end of this video, thank you. So yeah, that's this video. Yes, by the time this comes out, I'm hoping, I'm gonna schedule it to come out. So by the time you see this, it's already gonna be out, obviously. But my plans are to have it scheduled come out on the 1st of February. So yes, technically when I'm recording this, it's still January, but the end, but I go back to work on the 2nd of February. So I need to get it recorded now. So yeah, it's been interesting. It's been fun being off, being able to work on trains. There's been highs and there's been lows, not necessarily with my back, but railroad. You get one thing done and then it's like, crap, now I have an issue here. And then you fix that issue and then, oh, well, you get another idea. I mean, like I'm contemplating putting in a crossover in my lower yard down there. Model railroading is definitely fun. So like I said earlier, if this is your first video, none of this is really meant to be a tutorial. I just kind of show you what I do, show you the progress of my railroad as time goes on. I'm excited. You can see I have gotten somewhere. I enjoyed running trains, and this last week, by the time this video comes out, this last week, basically my goal is to get the layout prepped, make sure cars are where they need to go in accordance with JMRI, and I'm just going to run trains. I've been running trains the rest of the week before I go back to work, enjoying it before I go back to work, because I know a few weeks I'm probably not going to, there's a chance I'm not going to be, I'm going to be too tired. So, and some of you might say, oh, well, you're never too tired to run trains. Yes, very true. But, I just would rather be prepped. So, I want to thank everybody. We've gotten several new subscribers to the channel. I want to thank everybody for the new subscriptions. That's awesome. If you do like this, if you haven't subscribed, please like and subscribe. Hit that bell icon so you can get a notification when we or when I put out a new video. As much as and I know I said before, and I do plan on, I'm hoping to get more videos in between, like kind of an in between the monthly ones. I just have to I want to get my layout farther along, scenery, that kind of thing. And I've just had so many projects that I've been trying to wrap up before I go back to work, kind of things. So, but I appreciate all the likes and or subscribes and the comments and all that stuff, thumbs up. But yeah, if you're new to this channel and you like it, please subscribe, and share it if you think there's whether it be new model railroader or old model railroader, it doesn't matter. I know I enjoy watching videos and either learning a new technique or, oh hey, I used to do it this way, but I enjoy watching videos like that. So unfortunately this one I've done more talking than running trains, but like I said, you seen a little bit there when our buddy Eric from the Warbonds Channel was down, him running a train down here, or I should say switching some cars. But yeah, thank you everybody. Check out our Facebook page. It's the Kansas City Southern Iowa Eastern Division. Follow us over there. We are on TikTok. I don't do as much on TikTok just because TikTok is so flooded with videos and stuff like that. I try to put stuff out, but by the time I get this channel or video for my YouTube channel, I don't feel like doing a TikTok. So I don't know. I'm going to keep it up. It's not like I'm going to close it down, but the updates over there aren't as much. But if you are on TikTok, go over there and follow us over there. So as we always say, thanks for watching, and always remember, keep your train on the tracks.